Jiro here for Umbra Games with a review of Super Mario Odyssey, a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Mario and friends return in a hub world collectible style adventure in the same vein as previous titles like Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. The first new Mario platforming title to hit the Nintendo Switch, you'll meet Mario's new friend Cappy, who captures, Nintendo made it very clear it wasn't possession, enemies and inanimate objects at Mario's command via tossing him. Cappy's girlfriend Tiara was captured along with Princess Peach as Bowser forces a wedding upon her while she's wearing that particular crown. Mario and Cappy venture across more than 15 worlds in search of power moons to power their airship, named the Odyssey. Controls for Super Mario Odyssey don't venture too far from what we're used to. Mario is controlled with the left stick and you can jump in any direction normally, while the crouching backflip, triple jump for extra height, and the long jump also return. Instead of throwing punches this time around, Mario will toss Cappy, damaging some foes and objects while capturing others. Now when you capture something, new controls will pop up at the bottom of your screen, instructing you how to speed up when a bullet bill or dash while a Goomba. You can click the R button at any time to uncapture something, returning to Mario form. Not only will you find environment traversal often easier when using captured foes, but some of the power moons will require specific abilities or creatures like making a stack of Goombas approach the Lady Goomba to obtain one. There are poles that, when captured, let you flick Mario in various directions, and capturing electrical poles will allow him to zip along the power line. I will say, in the time I spent with the game, I didn't really find any of the more challenging jumping areas. Mine flashes back to like the Clock Tower and Magic Carpet stages of Mario 64. Granted, I haven't yet completed all of the optional content here. Nintendo does continue to shove motion controls in your face, even when playing with the Switch Pro controller. You can shut the motion off, but you'll miss out on a few moves, mostly involving Cappy. The main couple are the spin throw, which requires the controller to be snapped to the side, and a homing cap throw by shaking the controller after throwing regularly. Now, I'm not a motion control fan, especially when it comes to button substitution. The game is recommended by Nintendo, however, to be played with a split Joy-Con in order to execute these moves easily. Like pretty much all the other 3D Mario games, Mario has a life bar. In Odyssey, it's comprised of 3 segments. When Mario takes a hit from most obstacles or enemies, he will lose 1 piece. To replenish life, you have to find a heart, or collect a moon, or leave the world. There are special types of hearts called life-up hearts that can be found that will grant an additional 3 segments to Mario's life, and will remain that way until you get down to 3. Like for example, if you fall to 4 and get a heart, you can go back up to 5, but once you hit 3, you lose that second added container altogether. Dying from a pit or other instant death will also remove the second container. Each world in Super Mario Odyssey has numerous power moons defined, in some cases over 100. You have a log that will track which number you picked up, and you can purchase a hint from a toad or get random hints from the local parrot naming the moon to help you find it. Things like Under the Waterfall or Love Above the Lava. Several moons can be purchased for global gold coins as well. There actually is a sort of main campaign this time around, where previous games often just block progression solely on your star count. Mario Odyssey has particular moons that have a rainbow beacon that mark their location for you, and they're used to open up the game's worlds. Now, you still have to collect a specific amount to power the Odyssey enough to leave each kingdom, but it's a relatively small number compared to the total moons found in each world. And what would a Mario game be without the coins? There are 2 kinds of coins in Odyssey, the first being the normal golden global kind I mentioned, found all over the place, in the air, in coin blocks, and as rewards for killing enemies. The gold serve a couple of purposes. First, there are no lives in this game, so instead of getting extra life for reaching a coin threshold, normally, 100 or so, instead you lose 10 coins if you lose all of your life segments, or fall in a pit or other instant death situations. Gold coins accumulate across all kingdoms though, and you can use them in the crazy cap shops located everywhere to purchase power moons at 100 coins each. You can also buy hearts and life-up hearts, and a bunch of aesthetic-only outfits for Mario. Outfits come in 2 pieces, a hat for Cappy and a full body piece for Mario. Once purchased, you can instantly equip or use a closet to mix and match the pieces at any time. The other type of coin in the game are the purple ones, and there are a specific number to be found uniquely in each world. They often take a shape that goes along with the theme of the kingdom. Every time you pick up a purple coin, you'll see a counter of how many you've found total in the kingdom, and their sole purpose is to be used in the second half of the crazy cap shop, buying world-themed outfits and artifacts to put on your shelves in the Odyssey. Often, kingdoms will require the use of that specific world outfit in order to claim one of the power moons there. It's pretty refreshing to have some new level mechanics in a Mario game. I mean, nothing against Super Mario 3D World and the 3DS 3D Land and the new Super Mario Bros. Series, but we often started to see similar obstacles repeated throughout. One new thing to speak of in Odyssey is the shift from 3D to 2D to traverse some specific areas. Mario will revert back to his 8-bit looking former self, complete with sound effects and a shift to chiptune sounding soundtrack. As mentioned, the hat and capture techniques also open up a whole new world as well, with enemies providing continuous new mechanics. The kingdoms themselves range from beaches to grasslands to snowy mountains to lava-filled caverns, providing quite a diversity through your journey. Super Mario Odyssey does provide some amiibo support, with a general run-of-the-mill amiibos revealing the name of a moon in a world after a 5-minute waiting period. There are 3 specific Super Mario Odyssey amiibo, which are Bowser, Peach, and Mario, all in their wedding outfits. If you scan in Bowser, it'll reveal the regional purple coins, Mario grants temporary invincibility, and Peach gives a life-up heart when scanned during gameplay. They also give you the various costumes they're wearing, but I'm pretty sure I think these can be unlocked with coins, so you definitely don't need any of the amiibos to obtain 100% here. Speaking of 100%, apparently no kingdom can avoid inflation. Mario 64 had 120 stars, while its 3DS upgraded version added an additional 30. Now, Power Moons are often handed out like candy, with Super Mario Odyssey clocking in at 880 to be found, with an additional 119 that can be purchased in the shops post-game. Well, actually you can do infinite, but that's just the balance there, and you cap out at 999. While I mentioned you do have a minimum number of moons from world to world, you can complete the game with probably somewhere around 125. I think I had around 240 when I finished the campaign in about probably 8 to 10 hours, which opens up another subset in each kingdom when you revisit. Some of these are pretty well hidden, and you're often rewarded with a multi-moon, giving you 3 at a time when finishing bosses. There is a greater boss variety than recent Mario games, but they're still on a bit of a repeat schedule at times. There are some world bosses that present interesting new challenges, but you'll also face a group of 4 rabbits that Bowser has as henchmen, known collectively as the Broodals, as they make an appearance several times. Each one does present a different challenge, but you'll face off against each of them multiple times. This actually kind of made me miss the Koopa children a little bit, but I won't fault Nintendo for trying to move on and make new characters. There is a local co-op mode available where one player will control Mario and the other Cappy, but I didn't really mess with it much. Cappy is invincible, so if you have someone that isn't as skilled at gaming that you're trying to get interested in it, and they can be entertained by just controlling an invincible hat, then there's that. Now, I did just come off Assassin's Creed Origins when beginning Super Mario Odyssey. While Odyssey looks decent on a handheld Switch, projecting it to a 75-inch television did show a bit of the Switch's technical shortcomings. Now, that's not to say it looks bad, but the Switch definitely does seem more in the 360, PS3, or heck, even Wii U when it comes to its graphical capabilities. Most of the textures look pretty good, but I'm still a bit confused about the Luncheon Kingdom. There's so many pieces of landscape on a grand scale that were just solid colors, lacking much texture at all. If it was a retro look, it didn't hit me the right way there either, it just seemed off theme. One other thing that's prominent to me is the full-on shift we had starting with Mario Galaxy into a very orchestral-sounding musical score. I still find myself whistling the music from the first painting in Mario 64, various Mario World tunes often float through my head, and of course the Mario theme itself is extremely iconic and probably recognizable by most people in the world today. After spending the time I did with this game, if you played the music randomly mixed in with other scores, I'm not really sure I could remember or identify a single track. This issue isn't isolated to Mario games. I mean, how many tunes stick in your head in modern gaming at all? Back when they were limited to how many notes they could project at a time, it made it seem like the composers put in more care, where now atmospheric strings often rules the game world. Overall, subjectively speaking though, this is probably my favorite Mario since Super Mario 64. I love going back to the hub world with open stages with hints for each moon. There's tons of optional content here, and it has the great Mario design way of making basic progression easy enough for the average player, but getting into some complicated skill-based stuff for the more hidden ones. But as I mentioned, I hadn't quite encountered anything that felt taxing to me. The graphics are bright and colorful, and for a handheld experience, are some of the best I've seen, but the Switch shows limitations on a big screen. There's so much optional content, with much of it well designed, fresh new level mechanics including enemy capture, great environment design including a very unique, awesome Bowser's Castle, adequate atmospheric music, but nothing you'll be whistling the next day. The always tight play control with an abundance of jumps and maneuverability for every situation is here, as well as a few moves that can only be accessed by motion control, along with lots of enemy variety and a decent number of unique bosses against a story, well, you know, the usual princess in distress. Rated as a collection-focused 3D platformer, Super Mario Odyssey jumps to an 80 out of 100 on a true 1:100 scale. This is Jiro from Umbra Games. Thanks for watching. Always a pleasure to see an old friend like Mario, and hey, you and I can be old friends soon too. Feel free to leave some comments below to start conversations, and hit that subscribe button to get notifications of my newly posted reviews. I'm also on Twitter @Umbra Games.